Today is 12/2/16, and we have talked ad nauseum about the three kinds of evidence that we're working with. I want to recall all the way back to when we very first started talking about evolution. You saw this picture. Let me pull it up. Way back. This thing. It's the phylogenetic tree of life. It's a family tree for every living thing on the planet. This is a family tree for every living thing on the planet. You can find yourself on here. And it shows the relationships between all these living things. And you can see big groups. There seem to be 3 large groups. And then this is not a real detailed one. This one's pretty far. It's kind of the view from space. It's a big overview. I mean, clearly, because that one little branch, animals, contains everything from earthworms and birds and lizards and turtles and yew and mice and everything. Insects, that contains, spiders and insects and earthworms. This is a pretty broad overview. We can look at one that's a lot more up close. And I want to draw your attention to something. This is called a phylogenetic tree. So philo, we're talking about phylums, like classification, biological classification. And genetics, this is how things are related. Genetics is about how you're related to other people. So this is a tree that shows the classification of organisms based on their evolutionary relationships. You might want to know that. So yeah, a phylogenetic tree is a chart that shows how species are classified based on their genetic relationships. Okay, this is sort of the root of a phylogenetic tree that we're going to look at, because you're going to actually have a chance to build some phylogenetic trees in the lizard module. So when we're looking at a phylogenetic tree, we're looking at a common ancestor. And from that common ancestor, we then show species that are related, that share a common ancestor, but that are now different species. So here we've got species A, species B. These are pretty closely related. We would probably expect they would look pretty similar. They would share lots of DNA. They would share lots of homologous structures, because their common ancestor is in the recent past. If we have species, well, no, don't do that. If we have species B that, for reasons of environmental pressures, is continuing to evolve, and we end up with species B sort of breaking up and evolving into 2 different species. So now we have species B and C there. Okay. So, if species B continues to evolve, and we end up now with 2 new species, where's the common ancestor for species A and species B? Where's the last time they had a common ancestor? Is it here or is it here? So we'll call that point 1, point 2. Vote with your fingers. Is it 1 or 2? Where's the common ancestor? The common ancestor for species A and B is point 1. What about the common ancestor for species B and C? 1 or 2? Vote with your fingers. 2. Which 2 species are more closely related? B and C. They share a more recent common ancestor. We would expect, if we looked at an individual from each of those species, that B and C would share, they share more DNA. That's how we build phylogenetic trees. They're also probably going to look a lot more similar. There are probably going to be more underlying similarities there. But the big thing is we can build phylogenetic trees because we can look at DNA. We didn't used to be able to build phylogenetic trees. And we used to build classification trees based only on physical characteristics. That's not 100% reliable. You can have species that are very much alike, that look very much alike, that aren't as closely related because of environmental pressures, because they're evolving in an atmosphere that causes them to look a certain way. So with that pretty much covers what you need to know to get started on the lab. I'm going to have you go ahead, log into the Lizard Lab. It will let you pick it back up and then you can just go to Module 2. The list of items you need to screenshot is on the front page of Classroom. Please pay careful attention to that. Make sure you're getting the correct screenshots. If you have questions, holler.